Hey y'all, welcome back. So many of you know that Stan and I just announced about a week or two ago that we are in the process of adopting a little girl from China. We thought we would take a few minutes and kind of take you through how we arrived here and what the plan of action is and all that is going on with our adoption process. So if that interests you, then stick around and we're going to give you the lowdown of what's going on. So welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, my name is Ashley.
And I'm Stan.
And we are just an average, ordinary family. We have a lot of kids. We're adopting multiple times. We just had our first grandbaby just a few days ago, Brantley James, so I'm sure that you're going to see a lot of him on this channel too. And we actually just made a video of the day that he was born, so we're going to post it somewhere around here, and y'all should go check it out after you watch this video. So today we are just going to tell you all about our third international adoption process that we actually just started a few weeks ago. And I know a lot of y'all have been asking a lot of questions, wanting to know all the details, who we're adopting, where we're adopting from, and all those things. So we're hoping we can answer some of those questions for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first question we're going to tackle is, why are we adopting again? We have definitely heard that we're kind of cuckoo crazy that we're adopting a third time, especially considering the handful that Isabel brings to our household. And we've gotten many comments, and so we thought we would just take a second and tell you why we are adopting and why we're adopting right now.
Well, pretty much it was pretty easy with Mika and Isabel because God specifically called us to adopt them. In this situation, the little girl that we're pursuing at the moment, God hasn't specifically called us to adopt. Now, some people may be concerned by that, but like we've told people before, there are times God specifically calls you to adopt a specific child for a specific reason, and you should obey Him. But just because He doesn't specifically call you doesn't mean that you shouldn't adopt. If you see a need, it's our obligation to meet those needs as Christians, and so that's what we've done. We've seen a need in this little girl. She's had several people pursue her, but for some reason they all back out. So we just both felt that it's something that we could do to help her.
And I think the short answer of why are we adopting again is pretty much like Stan just said, we see a need and we can help fill that need. We know that our family has, dang it, didn't last very long. We know that our family has plenty of love and support and all the things that this little girl needs to help her, to help her progress in life and to give her a safe place and a family to call her own. So we feel like we definitely can offer that to another child. And so that is essentially what we see. I know with Michaela and Isabel's adoption journeys, like Stan said, we definitely felt a huge calling on those specific girls. And I mean, we can look back and see how us answering yes to that calling has definitely gotten us to even where we are today. And so while there wasn't this huge, overwhelming sense of, oh my goodness, Stan, God just, impressed upon me, we need to adopt this little girl, it wasn't in the way that it was with Michaela and Isabel, but I definitely do feel like we are right where God wants us to be and where He needs us to be to fulfill His purpose and to help this little girl have a family. So we see a need, fill a need, and that's kind of what our family is doing, and that's what we're committed to doing for however many orphans God wants to bring into our family. Okay, so the question that everyone is wanting us to give all the details is who we are adopting. So we're going to give you some information on the little girl that we are pursuing. Okay, to give y'all a little background, Stan and I'm going to cry multiple times, but that's okay.
I won't.
Okay, so this little girl that we are pursuing, we're not going to give out her name or anything like that, but she's the most precious little girl. So back in January, I was scrolling through an adoption advocacy page and I saw her little picture. And when I immediately looked at her, I thought, oh my goodness, Shriners Hospital would be amazing for this little girl and could help her out so much. So I made a post on my personal Facebook page about this little girl and was really trying to advocate for her and try to find a family that lived near Shriners, because some of her challenges Shriners could greatly help with. And if you don't know who Shriners is, it's a nonprofit hospital that has offered a lot of help for Michaela and Isabel and thousands of kids all around the world. And we financially have not had to pay a penny for any of it because it's a nonprofit organization. We love Shriners. So I made the post, and then I don't know, within an hour or two, I went back and realized that a family was already in pursuit of this little girl. So I deleted my post. And I hadn't really thought any more about her until, I guess it was late April. I saw her post again, and someone had updated it and said that that family fell through and this little girl is still up for adoption. And again, the very first thing that entered my brain was Shriners could help this little girl so much. And so I was like, I made a comment on that post, and then one of my good friends came back and said, Ashley, I think you need this little girl. I said, oh, geez. And look, Stan and I, like, kind of to tie in what we said earlier, we don't feel that you have to be specifically called to a specific child for God to favor your adoption and your choice. We feel like we've already been commanded to take care of the widows and the orphans, and so that is what we are to do. And so with that, and with our mindset, our mind shift has changed throughout the years of adoption, and knowing that God is going to favor any child we choose to pursue. Stan and I have pretty much stayed clear of looking at little pictures of orphans because, golly dang, when you put a face to a name, to a story, it just makes it so much more real. And we understand that God has called our family, God has laid it on our family to help take care of these orphans. And we know that any child that we pursue, God is going to pour His favor on the situation and help guide us and provide for us in all ways imaginable. So we just kind of have to stay away from pictures, because otherwise
we'd adopt every kid.
So Stan's pretty funny. Anytime I say, have you seen that little girl? His eyes bug out of his head and he's like, oh gosh, what now? So I came home one day late in April and I showed him a picture of her, and his first, I think really the first thing out of your mouth was, oh my goodness, Shriners could help that little girl so much. And I said, exactly. I said, what do you think? And so we talked about it, and of course the kids were on board within 30 seconds, and I think we just very quickly, it wasn't like this huge emotional response, kind of like it was with Isabel and Michaela. It was just kind of like, we have resources to help this little girl aside from our family, so why not pursue her, and why not try to give her a forever family? Because like Stan said earlier, there's been another family that went and traveled to bring her home. When they arrived, I think that they saw that she was more than they anticipated, and they ended up leaving her in China for whatever reason. And we could go into a whole nother topic of conversation on that, but it does break our hearts because this little girl in her face, it's such sadness, and just, she's definitely one of those little orphans that you look at and there's just emptiness in her eyes and her face. So we can help restore that little soul back to hopefully being joyful. So that is kind of how we came to pursue her.
So after Ashley brought her to me and we had decided that we were going to pursue her, we just pretty much told God, hey, listen, we know you haven't specifically called us to this little girl, but we're able to provide for her. We're able to meet her needs. And so if there's another child that you want us to pursue, because we had planned to adopt later this year, we just told God, if there's another child you're wanting us to pursue, just close the doors to this. And if you have favor upon our decision, just open the doors and don't allow anything to stand in our way. So as far as who she is, like Ashley had said earlier, we don't want to put her name out there, put her picture out there yet, for various reasons. But so this little girl is 2 years old. She's about to turn 3 years old next month. Presently, she is in an orphanage in China. She was actually abandoned when she was newborn there on the steps of the orphanage. She has had a cleft palate that needs to be repaired. She has a missing right thumb. She has a deformed right hand. She is missing the ulna bone in her right forearm. And then there is something wrong with one of her legs that we haven't yet figured out. And then they say she has a delay mentally. We know it's at least a global development delay, but we've watched probably 10 to 12 videos of her. And from our experience, it seems more along the lines of a global development delay than it does a severe neurological delay, much like Isabel.
Yeah, she's nonverbal. Obviously, there's some neuro conditions going on that has been stated in her medical file. Now, if it's true or not, we're not sure. So, she does come with her medical file has a lot of question marks in it. But we're not really frightened by those question marks, so to speak. I know a main concern that many of you may have, and many that know us and that have watched our journey with Isabel, will wonder, like, can we handle it? And why are we adding on another special needs child when we already have a very plate full of life, especially when you're just talking about Isabel? Not to mention, we've got Michaela and all of our other kids. But again, I just feel like the Lord will equip us. I know we felt that way with Isabel. I was scared to death. My flesh did not want to be called to Isabel because she scared me a lot. But obviously we are here almost 2 years later, and she's thriving and doing amazing, and we love her more than life itself. So we know that if He has provided emotionally, financially, mentally, like all of the ways that you can think of, if He's provided all of those things for us with Isabel and Mika, He will provide that for this little girl that we choose to bring home, because we are not choosing to bring home another child because we love little kids and we feel like we just, are kind of bored with life and we need something else to do. We're doing it as a ministry. We're doing it as a way to serve Him. And we're doing it because as Christians, we feel like we need to step up, and we feel as Christians that we should step up and we need to say yes to these orphans. And we hope in our process, and the process of us doing that, and in the process of this YouTube channel and sharing our journey with everyone on here and Facebook and Instagram, that it's going to lead others into action to bring home orphans and really to step out of their idea of what their comfortable life should look like, and really allow God to move in them and stretch their faith and stretch really just everything about them, so that at the end of the day, His name will be glorified and we will bring more orphans home. Just talking about day-to-day, realistically, what this is going to look like, we have a very strong support system within our home from our other kids. And I know a lot of people hear that and think, you have a 16-year-old, you have a 13-year-old, and you have a 10-year-old. How much help can they really be? And if you were a fly on the wall in our home, you would see that they're like mama and daddy number 1, 2, and 3. They are a huge support system, and we spoke with them, each of them, when we were really considering this little girl, and after reviewing her medical file and knowing that, she comes with a lot of unknowns, we wanted to make sure that they truly were okay with it, and hands down, there was not even a second of let me think about this or anything. It was very quickly just, yes, if we are able to help another orphan, then I'm willing to go through some hard times for that little girl. Another question that many of you have asked is just the cost of adoption. And the cost of adoption is a lot. Whether you adopt domestically or internationally, it is a lot of money. As you've already heard throughout this video, we have the confidence in knowing that we can provide for another child financially, emotionally, mentally, medically, all the things that matter. We know that we can provide for this child lifelong. We understand that these kids are going to be with us long term and that they may never be able to live on their own, and we are 100% okay with that, and it doesn't cause us to waver. But to adopt internationally is about $35,000, and of which we do not have that on hand, unfortunately. So
yeah, we about what we had on hand was enough to provide for the home study and the initial application for adoption, which was $3,000. So we went ahead and paid that even before we had made the announcement that we were going to adopt. And just like with our other adoptions, we pretty much said, God, we're not going to have fundraisers like most people do. We're not going to bug our friends for money. We're going to provide a GoFundMe account. We're going to let our friends and family know that, hey, we have this need to adopt this little girl. And then we believe from there that God will use people to supply that need. And that's what He's done with both of our adoptions. And so far, we announced, I think it was a little over 10 days ago, that we were starting this adoption, and we've already raised right at $10,000. So that part doesn't worry us. We know God's going to provide for it if that's His will.
People just want to give, and they want to donate. And so like Stan said, about $10,000 has been given in the past 10 days, which blows my mind. And so we do have enough for the first 3 big costs that we will be needing to take care of within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But we still have a long ways to go. So if you are watching this video, please know that we are not going to get on all of our videos, and we are not going to beg for money, and we are not going to imply that we're hurting for money financially to provide for this adoption. We are going to share as God leads us. So I want you to know that you will not be bombarded with a GoFundMe link right here on all of our videos. But please know that if you want to be a part of this journey, we understand that it takes every single person just wanting to donate $10, $20, $100, whatever it may look like, to help bring this little girl home. And we know that we can't do it on our own by any means, and it really takes so many of you who have invested into our family and invested into these orphans that help bring her home. I'm going to leave links, and we're going to share our GoFundMe account, and if you want to donate, then that's awesome. And if you don't, you can just join along and send us all the encouragement and kind words that you can, and that will mean just as much. So I hope that answered a lot of your questions and concerns that you may have had. If you have any more questions, we are pretty much an open book. You can leave your questions down below in the comment section. Just make sure that you are being kind with your words.
Absolutely.
It is amazing some of the rude comments that we get, but I guess that just goes with the territory. We just delete them. And we appreciate y'all joining us. We will keep y'all up to date. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now, and we appreciate y'all hanging with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.